could only be me when I stopped trying to be somebody else. When I stopped trying, I was thinking, you know, we're covering the Old Testament here, and we're here in Leviticus. Leviticus is a painful book of the Bible. It was, again, trying to civilize some uncivilized people and making rule after rule after rule for all the priests and the Levites and all this place. Hello. And to think about all the, there's a lot of hatred. A lot of hatred. There's a lot of hatred in this world, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
You know, growing up, I don't know about you. First, growing up, there was only white people for me to hate because that's all was in my neighborhood. So desegregation happened, you know, and then once desegregation happened, then I could hate some blacks, you know, and then I met a couple of Jews I could hate. You know, then I moved to New York and I got a whole plethora of people to hate. I was free to hate. But see, I don't think I hated the blacks because they were black. And I didn't hate the Jews because they were Jewish. And I didn't hate all those people. And, you know, and ultimately there I found I could hate me. I could just hate myself. And a lot of it was because I thought I should. I thought I should hate myself for my misunderstanding of the Bible. And for my parents' misunderstanding of the Bible. And for my grandparents' misunderstanding of the Bible. I know the Bible must be a decent book, but I didn't know why, because it was so frightening. I don't know about you. You know, I read the parts I liked a little bit, and the rest of it I just ignored entirely because it was too horrifying to read. It was a bloodbath here and there, and everywhere I looked, it seemed to be telling me I was bad. And we went to a church that told me I was bad, you know, all in the name of saving me. It told me I was bad, told me everybody was bad. And so we're growing up with this, we're bad. We're sinners, we're evil. And Jesus died for my sins, hallelujah. I was like, well, if Jesus died for my sins, I didn't understand that even. I thought, I don't get it. Jesus died for my sins and I'm supposed to be guilty over that. And I think I've explained it here before, you know, Jesus dying for my sins, it's only recently I began to get it. Oh, what is sin except missing the mark? That's all sin is missing the mark, error thinking, you know, incorrect perception. And Jesus' death, what that shows us is that, what his message in that was, the body's not real. Quit thinking of me as a body. Quit thinking of me as a personality. And with that, stop thinking of yourself as a body. Stop thinking of yourself as a personality. And so, the dying for my sins is to clear my error thinking about the body. About that I should worship a person. That I should do all these things. How many of you have ever read the book of Leviticus? Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, of course you did. Okay. I don't remember. I don't remember if I read Leviticus, but the religious boys here grew up, they read Leviticus. And it's painful. So, cursed be you. There's a whole list of cursed be yous. If you do this, cursed be you. What kind of a God do these people have? Cursed be you. What kind of a God? You know, I don't know who's worse anymore in religion. And I'm up there with the Christians. They're pretty rough. You know, those hardcore Christians. You know, all in the name of God. And it's like, you're going to hell. And they're trying to save me from hell. I think we need a new understanding of God. And some of us come into unity. I even know a bunch of unity ministers who bring their old Christian background into unity. And so it's still hell and damnation, but in flowery language. In New Thought language, but the belief is still in sin. The belief is there's still God and. As if God is a person going to smite me. And that cannot be God. That can't be my God. I had enough of that. I refuse to claim that as my God. And I come from a newer background that says God as you understand God. And so I looked into a new understanding of God. I needed one that was completely love. You know, it started out as loving, and now it's love. And that's a really cool thing. So that I don't have to worry about where I'm going later on. I do not have to worry about where I'm going to go when I die. And that was a big concern about a lot of people growing up. Anybody? You know, concerns about, oh my goodness, where are they going to? I've got to be good. I've got to be nice. I've got to be, and I have found though that so many of the people who claim to have great faith in their religion, they really don't. Especially, you know, if they have a God of punishment, they don't really believe. It's pick and choose. You know, I pick which ones are the commandments I like, and you know, I don't know much about religion, but I know what I like. And so, well, I'll like this one. Okay, we hate the gays. That's fine. That's safe. No, but I don't know any gays, so we can hate the gays. You know, they're bad. They should go to hell. You know, and but I'm going to wear a red dress. That's okay. You know, and some of the women do too. And then, you know, well, yeah, I know I had this affair, but that's okay. But, well, you shouldn't have had an affair with that person. That's wrong. But it's okay to have an affair with this person. Do you understand that in the time when this was written, to ignore the Sabbath, you could be put to death for? As a child, if you spoke back to your parents, you could be put to death. If you had sex with a woman while she was menstruating, you had to be put down. You had to, I mean, it's crazy, these rules. And so, if you're going to go with one, you really got to go with them all. And so to look at this, and that's this book. This is the book of laws in Leviticus. So I had to look at it. What does it really mean? Because I can't afford those laws. Can you?
No.
I can't even afford some of them as a suggestion in my mind. There is never a time when we should feel guilty. Meaning that I should feel judged by God. There is never a correct time to feel judged by God. That I'm going to be punished by God. That my good will be withheld from God. There is never a correct time to think that. There is not an event that will ever tell you you should, and I'm serious, and I'm absolutely serious about anything that you have done or that your neighbor has done. There is never a time when they or you should be guilty in the eyes of God. I'm not saying we shouldn't have laws on earth. I'm not saying we shouldn't still have a say in social behavior and what have you. However, in the eyes of God, there is no judgment. There is no condemnation. There is not even the slightest criticism. And that can be a tough one because some pretty atrocious behaviors are taking place. We say these days, but read your Bible. They've been happening since the beginning of time. You know, the atrocious behavior when the caveman was clubbing the other guy because he had food. So let's kill him and I'll take his food and walk away. You know, it's been happening for the disregard for human life, disregard for the human body. You just put down your cigarettes. Congratulations. I know what it's like to do that. But the disregard I had for years of my body. I smoked, I drank, I had all just miserable, guilty thoughts. The destruction I did to this body. And I remember when I did pick up cigarettes after putting them down for a few months. And I picked them up and I felt awful. I felt just awful. Not emotionally, physically. I felt, ugh. And I thought, holy smokes, I must have felt like this every single day. And I was so used to it, I didn't know. And still, I couldn't light them fast enough. It took another 6 months to put them down again. So I say, live through the day and don't pick them up again because you don't need that battle. But it's the same thing. Now I deal with food, but I don't feel, how often do you feel awful after eating a cookie? I mean, really. Or the box.
Oatmeal raisin.
I don't care for those. See, there's where you're wrong. I looked at something online about a friend of mine published, and this minister reminds us about the first step in approaching the passages from Leviticus, like the Leviticus 26, even 19, 20, 26, 27, in there, there's some of the cursed be you. And he says it's important to recognize that it comes at a time when the consciousness of the Hebrew people could only understand a God of rewards and punishments. I would like to think us in this room, we in this room, are past a time of needing a consciousness of reward and punishments. I don't know that we all are, but we shouldn't be guilty if we're not there yet. But look at it and ask yourself, do I still have a consciousness of rewards and punishments? And I want points for doing something good because I have hated myself for doing something bad. And so I need some points so I don't hate myself too much. And I love this. He said Jesus is our way shower in the understanding as in so much. And he points out always that Jesus said so frequently, you have heard that it was said. You have heard that it was said, and the one he points out is, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. And that's Leviticus 19:18. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Now, how would you pray for one who persecutes you? I'll tell you. You sit down and you let light go through use your imagination, divine faculty of imagination right here, third eye. Use it to see yourself in light. And then take this one that you're holding in shadows and begin to see them in light. Don't make any decisions on their personality. Don't make any decisions about them at all, as if you know. You only know what you think and what you feel about another. You don't know. You don't know the divine purpose behind their behavior. You don't have a clue. And I'm talking about the ones we call major and the ones we call little. But once you've seen yourself in light, then you can see another in light. Now, I've gotten prayer requests here. Please pray for my father. Please pray for my mother. Please pray for this one or that one. And I respond, how about we pray for you and your vision? So that if you see yourself whole, then it's easier to see your father as whole, your friend as whole, your mother, your sister, your brother as whole. Don't pray for those poor people that you see. You're the poor people that you see. If you see the poor people in the street, oh, those poor things. That's what you are. That's what you see yourself as. That's why how you identify yourself. What you see, you are in your mind. And one of the worst terms I've ever heard is there, but for the grace of God go I. Because you think you know their journey. You think you have a clue what their purpose is in this lifetime and why they're here to experience this. Years ago I was teaching a class, and this woman came every week, and she had two braids. She had these two weird, those metal crutches. She had a brace on her leg, and she was in school. She's carrying the big book bag, and she would come in, and it just looked awful to me. And I referenced her once in class, and she said, oh, don't feel sorry for me. Don't judge me by this. I'm having a great life. I'm in school, studying the stuff I love to study. This bag is filled with books that I love to read. I'm in your class. I'm having a great time. Please don't judge me by what you see here. And I said, you just become the teacher of the class. See, I don't know. I don't know what somebody else's journey is. I only know what I think about it. And I'm deciding, that's good, that's bad, that's good, that's bad, that's good. Oh, poor thing. Oh boy, do I envy that one. Oh, I hate it. That one has too much money. I hate them. But that one, look how generous that one is. What a really good person that is. I love that. Oh, they're such a good person. Which implies somebody else isn't. And we're judging by good deeds. We're judging by personalities. Basically, we're judging, I like that one. So therefore, I can deem them good. And I fear that one. Therefore, I deem them, if not bad, not so good. They crossed me in some way. They have offended my personality. I've had to deal with this a lot. And sometimes I deal with it well, And sometimes I take my time in dealing with it. And I entertain my judgments all the way down the line. And finally, if I'm going to get up here and preach this stuff, then I have got to look inside and say, where am I practicing it? Where do I? Fine. Okay, fine. Knowing the truth is more important than my resentment. And so I go through my list. Okay, which ones am I willing to be more important than my resentment, and which ones am I still willing to put off for a little bit? And and let them enter back into my fold of deeming good, as if I know. I do not know. I'm here to tell you that, people. We want to appreciate Leviticus because there are times in our own unfolding consciousness, collectively and individually, when in human confusion we revert back to fear of God and fear of consequences. But we can now recognize from the Christ dimension that Jesus calls us to express that there is a higher purpose and priority. And that is to choose to follow divine guidance out of an awareness of the infinite love that is always guiding us to our highest good, beyond any gruesome dramas we may create for ourselves along the way. Gruesome, we don't get to hear that word a lot in church. But those dramas we create, and guilt is never a redeemer. We will never be redeemed through guilt. I want to be very clear on this. Because we've used it before. Oh, well, at least I'm guilty. I did this, at least I'm guilty. So God will I get points for being guilty at least. I killed that person, but at least I'm guilty. I ran that person over in the woods, and at least I'm guilty. I ate a cookie. I ate a 10-pack of cookies. I smoked cigarettes. I drank beer. I did whatever. At least I'm guilty. I spoke unkindly to someone, and at least I'm guilty. I stole, but at least I'm guilty. Did whatever, at least I'm guilty. That's not redemption. I'm still a liar and a thief and a drunkard and all that stuff. I didn't clean up any of the mess with guilt. I clean up the mess with love. I clean up the mess with the recognition of light. I clean up the mess with restitution. And I'm sorry is usually not restitution. I clean up the mess so that with restitution and with light, so that I don't have to think of myself in a way that ought to be guilty. This is called Leviticus, a new understanding, this talk today. New understanding of it. First time I came to Unity, I heard a talk in Leviticus, and that was the day I got it. I am good, and I cannot not be good. The instructions in Leviticus are very human instructions. They are for very human behavior. They're to control human thinking and human morality. They're not about spirit. In spirit, in God, in principle, in law, I am good. I've always been good. I cannot not be good. I will always be good. That is the message of this ministry. It's the message of my personal ministry. I am good. I've always been good. I cannot not be good. Kenneth saying, what was the line? Tell me. I'm still me. I
can only be me.
Thank you. I can only be me. Being me is not being my behavior. Being me is not being my personality. Being me is what I am. I don't always behave as I am. I do always behave as I think, but I don't always behave as I am. If I have a sprained ankle, that has nothing to do with what I am. If I have cancer, that's not who I am. But I behave as I think, but I am always me. And when I go with Him, and I take that time to acknowledge light, to acknowledge, I was talking to somebody the other day about I know what it was. They were saying, I always thought that light was something you let in rather than you release. And I thought about that this week. And I realized light is something I let in from the Christ mind. I let it into my conscious mind from my superconscious mind. So I do let it in to the rest of me, but it's not from out there. I let it into my consciousness from my super consciousness, because it is the super consciousness that is aware of light, that is conscious of light, that knows light. And what is the purpose of light? Anybody? To see. To see. You turn on a light so you can see. And so you go within. Yeah, she gets an extra point. You turn on the light so you can see. Because otherwise you're walking around in the dark. And I don't know about you, what I do when I'm in the dark, I make up scary things. If I walked into my house at night and didn't turn on a light, I would make up all sorts of things that are there that probably aren't. You know, one night I remember I walked in a few years ago, and I was there 2-3 minutes and all the lights went out. And I'm standing in my dining room, and I didn't hear, the generator didn't kick in yet. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, okay, are they waiting in the front of the house or the back of the house for me? Which one do I leave by to run out of this house? So I just stood there in the dining room, and then the generator kicked in and all the lights came back on. But I made stuff up in the dark that I don't make up in the light. And that's what Leviticus is all about. That's staying in the dark. It's getting people to a point of light, but it's saying you have to see it through my light. What spirituality tells us is you have to see it through true light. You must go within and know the light for yourself. You can't know it through my light. You have to know it through your own. And when you are in the light, you won't have to make anything up. Isn't that a relief? In the light, in all relationships, in money, in body, in the world you see, when you turn on the light, you won't have to make anything up. That's the blessing of Leviticus, because it pointed us to here today. Thank you.